Hello, friends. I wish you continued blessings throughout this Christmas season. We're at that point, once again, end of a year, beginning of a new year. And traditionally, in the newspapers, you'll see these sketches of, 1 year that's finishing, and often an old man, bearded, and then, a little baby representing the next year. Well, this year, if you look in the papers, the old man, 2020, usually is depicted pretty beat up. and we're hearing, of course, reactions like, oh, thank God 2020 is over. And now one has to realize, of course, that the first few months, several months of 2021 are going to be much similar. There's certainly the hope of vaccination becoming more widespread among the population. We know we have to continue on the isolation, the physical isolation and the measures for sanitizing and health, and we know our whole society has to be on the slow go, certainly at least right now still, to just get that curve down, get those numbers down, take the pressure off the health system, make sure the vulnerable are protected as much as possible. So yeah, the first few months, several months, it's a continued effort. But if we also look back in 2020, and that's what a lot of things happen, is retrospectives on the past year. And the past year, yes, all that we know, but also some things that I'm hearing and I know is we can also tag the word resilience to the year 2000. That there's the word creativity, and we certainly saw lots of that in the beginning and continuing, but at this point, resilience, the determination of people to not lose hope, to share that hope, to live out that hope in the way that they are with one another. Now, another thing that I think in retrospective that we can see in 2020 is that family relationships, the relationships with those with whom we're very close to, family for sure, it's come to the fore in a way that is greater than I'm going to say before. I know that at Christmas, for some people it was very, very difficult, and so I'm thinking of, well, perhaps especially the elderly, the grandparents, sometimes even widower all by themselves, and not the possibility of embracing the grandchildren and having that life flowing around, all the fun and the smiles and all of that. I know it had to be very difficult for people in that situation. And also then I'm thinking for all the healthcare workers that had to be at the hospital, longer shifts, more work, and who did it. And it was really difficult, probably even a bit more difficult at this Christmas time when they would have liked to have been with at least their immediate family. But that having been said, I've also heard of people who, having a Zoom call, and for an hour and a half, and saying afterwards, why, it's not often we talk that much with each other. If you get together for Christmas, a certain number of people in the kitchen, some in the living room, downstairs, and lots of conversation, but this experience of just being focused on one another, really listening to one another. One person said, yeah, we haven't talked that much or that profoundly, shall we say, in a long time. Other families telling me, well, yeah, we were just the four of us around that table, but we tried to make it special, and it wasn't that bad. And actually, it was even a little bit more intimate. And so, yes. But certainly the family has come to the fore. And actually, Pope Francis has declared a year of the family. It's in link, certainly, with the year of St. Joseph also, but a year of the family that's going to begin with the Feast of St. Joseph in March, and is going to go, in essence, about 14 months until June, 15 months, until June of 2022, when there's a world meeting of the families, such as the Church has had several in the last few years. So, an invitation to reflect on family, and to think about, the resilience, the closeness, the communication within each of us, our families, however they're configured, because families are configured in so many ways. There's if you wish, yes, the traditional father, mother, children, and then the grandparents. But there's also single parents and blended families. And so just family, those we care for, those who care for us, those we automatically turn to, or should automatically feel free to turn to for support, for strength, for love. And within that whole reality of family, perhaps this year, at this moment, is a time to center our attention a little bit more, perhaps, on grandparents, on the elderly within our families. Perhaps now is a special time for, turning towards our elderly uncles and aunts, our elderly parents, and making that phone call, sending a card, reaching out. I think that's a really important thing to do, because the elderly, they bring so much to a family, and especially to the grandchildren, but also, the relationships between adult children and their parents. That's so important. And so maybe to take some time right now and ponder, reflect, give thanks for those relationships, and reach out in a way that will confirm those relationships. So as we go on in this Christmas season, yes, let it continue to be a family time, and perhaps especially with the elderly, with those who have gone before us, with those that sometimes the busyness of life brings us to not connect with that much or that often, and to do so this year. It's be God's way of showing that He has all things in His hand, as we are instruments of His love to one another. Thank you.